The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines. Hundreds of beings from all over the galaxy sat around a large round table. Some had 6 arms, others had skin that glowed, and a few looked like walking plants. They all stared at the object floating in the middle of the room. The object was about the size of a basketball. It glowed with a blue light and had many moving parts that shifted and changed. This was the Nexus puzzle, found in the ruins of a civilization that died out millions of years ago. I have tried every mathematical formula known to the Carillion Empire, said Admiral Zixvoon. He had blue skin and 7 long arms. Each arm ended in 3 fingers that could solve complex equations faster than most computers. The puzzle remains unsolved. The Melvorian hive mind has dedicated 1 million brain cycles to this problem, added Representative Ulo. Ulo was actually 5 beings connected by a shared mind. They spoke as one. We have failed as well. Grand Minister Teller stood up. His crystal body caught the light and sent rainbows across the walls. This council represents the 300 most advanced species in the known galaxy. For 6 cycles, we have tried to solve this puzzle. We have used quantum computers, hive minds, and psychic powers. Nothing works. The floating puzzle continued, to shift and change as if mocking them all. Perhaps we need a completely new approach, said Alara 9. She was one of the oldest beings in the room. Her body was made of living light, and she had seen the rise and fall of entire star systems. There is a newly discovered planet in the outer arm of the galaxy. The beings there call it Earth. Several council members laughed. Earth was considered primitive. Humans had only recently discovered space travel, and they hadn't even colonized their own moon permanently yet. You suggest we ask primitives for help? Asked Admiral Zixvoon. They still use fossil fuels. Alara 9's light pulsed with determination. Sometimes the answer comes from unexpected places. Remember the parable of the blind cave dwellers? Sometimes those who have not been taught to see in one way can see in ways we cannot. Grand Minister Teller considered this. What do you propose? We send probes to Earth. We create simple games based on parts of the puzzle. We see how humans respond. Perhaps they will show us something new. The council voted, and though many thought it was a waste of time, they approved the mission. Thousands of small probes, no bigger than insects, were sent to Earth. They beamed simplified versions of the puzzle into games, TV shows, and websites. Meanwhile, in a small town in Ohio, Joey Miller was getting ready for school. He was 12 years old with messy brown hair and glasses that were too big for his face. He wore a faded blue t-shirt with a rocket ship on it. "Joey, you're going to be late," his mom called from downstairs. Joey grabbed his backpack and ran his hand through his hair, which did nothing to make it neater. His room was filled with space posters, model rockets, and piles of books about stars and planets. But the thing that took up the most space was his collection of magnetic building blocks. Thousands of small magnetic pieces were arranged in strange patterns on his desk, floor, and shelves. His mom, Dr. Lucy Miller, was a biologist who studied how plants grew in different soils. His dad, Frank Miller, taught math at the local high school. Neither of them knew that their son saw the world in a very special way. Joey ran downstairs and grabbed a piece of toast. "I made you lunch," his mom said, handing him a brown paper bag. "Thanks, Mom," Joey said through a mouthful of toast. He kissed her on the cheek and ran out the door. School was the same as always. Joey was good at math and science but struggled with reading and writing. The words seemed to jumble up on the page. His teacher, Ms. Baker, was nice but worried that he spent too much time daydreaming. After school, Joey rode his bike home and went straight to his room. He had gotten a new game on his phone called Stellar Shapes. It was supposed to be a simple puzzle game, but Joey was already on level 15 when most players got stuck on level 3 or 4. The game showed shapes that had to be fitted together, but the shapes changed and moved in strange ways. What Joey didn't know was that the game contained patterns from the real Nexus puzzle. As Joey played, the small probe hidden in his desk lamp recorded how his brain worked. The information was sent back to the Galactic Council. 3 days later, Joey was on level 57. The probe was sending more and more data back to the Council. In the Council chambers, Ilara 9 stared at the incoming data in amazement. "This is impossible," she said softly. "What is it?" asked Grand Minister Teller. "A human child has solved configurations that our best minds could not understand. His brain activity shows he's not using advanced mathematics or logical steps. He's using intuition, pattern recognition on a level we've never seen." "Admiral," Zixvoon looked skeptical. "One human child got lucky in a game." "No," said Ilara 9. "Look at how he approaches each puzzle. He tries things that make no sense logically but work perfectly. He's seeing connections that our structured thinking cannot detect." The council reviewed the data for hours. They watched recordings of Joey as he played the game, his fingers moving quickly, his eyes seeing patterns that their advanced minds could not. "We need to contact this human," said Grand Minister Teller finally. "This may be our only chance to solve the Nexus puzzle." The decision was not made lightly. First contact with a species was a serious matter. Usually it was done with governments and scientists, not with a 12-year-old boy and his family. Back on Earth, Joey was having dinner with his parents. His mom had made spaghetti, his favorite. "How was school today?" his dad asked. It was, "Okay, I got an A on my science project about the solar system." "That's great, honey," his mom said with a smile. Suddenly, every screen in the house turned on by itself. The TV, their phones, even the small screen on the refrigerator. They all showed the same message. "Your son has a gift the galaxy needs. We come in peace." Joey dropped his fork. His mom gasped. His dad stood up so quickly he knocked over his chair. "Dad?" Joey said, his voice small. "I think the aliens want to talk to me." Outside their house, a soft blue light began to glow as a small ship no bigger than a car gently landed on their front lawn. The Millers stood at their window holding each other tightly as they prepared to meet visitors from another world. The door of the ship opened and light spilled out. Joey's life was about to change forever, and with it, the future of human and alien relations throughout the galaxy. The next morning, the Miller house was surrounded by black cars and people in suits. Government agents had arrived during the night after neighbors called about strange lights. Joey sat on the couch between his parents as a woman with short gray hair explained the situation. "I'm Agent Kate Lane from the Global Space Relations Department," she said. "Until yesterday, no one knew this department existed. We've been preparing for first contact for decades." Joey's dad looked pale. "So those messages were real? Actual aliens want to talk to our son?" Agent Lane nodded. "Yes, Mr. Miller. The ship on your lawn is just a small probe, but a larger one is in orbit. They've been monitoring Earth for several months. They're called the Galactic Council, a group of advanced civilizations." Joey raised his hand like he was in school. "But why me?" Agent Lane smiled. "That's what we're trying to figure out. They say you have a special way of thinking that might help them solve a very important puzzle." Joey thought about the game, Stellar Shapes, he'd been playing. "Is it about the game on my phone?" Everyone looked at him in surprise. Agent Lane leaned forward. "What game, Joey?" "Stellar Shapes. I reached level 57. No one at school got past level 5. Agent Lane made a quick call. When she returned, she looked even more serious. "The council says the game contains simplified patterns from something called the Nexus puzzle. They're amazed you solved so many levels." Joey's mom put her arm around him. "So what happens now? You can't just take my son into space." "Of course not, Dr. Miller," Agent Lane said. "The council has requested a meeting with Joey and his family. We're negotiating the terms. They've agreed to meet at our space station." Joey's eyes went wide. "We're going to the space station?" "Not the public one," Agent Lane explained. "We have another one in a higher orbit that's not publicly known." 2 days later, Joey and his parents were on a special plane heading to a secret launch site. Joey had his backpack filled with his favorite things, his magnetic building set, a notebook full of puzzle solutions, and a baseball cap his grandpa had given him. He was excited, but also scared. "Will there be other kids there?" he asked. His mom. She squeezed his hand. I don't think so, honey. But we'll be with you the whole time. The rocket launch was nothing like Joey had imagined. It was louder and scarier, but also more amazing. As they left Earth's atmosphere, Joey pressed, his face against the small window. Earth looked like a blue marble behind them. The secret space station was shaped like a wheel. It spun slowly to create gravity. When they docked and went inside, they were greeted by more agents and scientists. One woman with a friendly smile approached them. Hello, Joey. I'm Dr. Samantha Green, the lead xenolinguist for this mission. What's a xenolinguist? Joey asked. I study alien languages, she explained. I'll help you talk to the council representatives. Do they speak English? Dr. Green laughed. Some of them have learned basic English, but they have devices that translate for them. The real challenge isn't the words, it's the concepts. They think very differently than we do. Joey and his family were shown to their quarters. They had a small apartment with 3 rooms and a window that looked out into space. Joey couldn't believe he was actually in space, about to meet real aliens. The next morning, Dr. Green came to take them to the meeting room. The council representatives have arrived, she said. They're very excited to meet you, Joey. The meeting room was large with a round table in the center. Sitting around, the table were the strangest beings Joey had ever seen. One looked like a blue octopus with 7 arms instead of 8. Another seemed to be made of living crystal. A third was a cloud of light shaped roughly like a person. Joey stopped in the doorway, suddenly afraid. His dad put a hand on his shoulder. It's okay, son, we're right here with you. The crystal being stood up. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes. Welcome, Joey Miller of Earth. I am Grand Minister Teller. A small device near Joey translated the musical sounds into English. Joey swallowed hard and stepped forward. Hi, he said in a small voice. The blue octopus-like alien waved several arms in what might have been a greeting. I am Admiral Zix Voon of the Carillion Empire. Your solution patterns to our test puzzles were most impressive. Joey looked at the game on the table. It looked like a much more complex version of stellar shapes. Is that the real puzzle? He asked. The being made of light floated closer. Yes, child. I am Alara 9, Senior Analyst of the Council. This is the Nexus puzzle, found in the ruins of a civilization long extinct. For 6 cycles, about 18 of your Earth months, the greatest minds in the galaxy have tried to solve it. Joey's mom stepped forward. And you think my 12-year-old son can solve it when you couldn't? We believe Joey sees patterns differently than we do, Alara 9 explained. Our civilizations are advanced, but our thinking has become structured, too logical. When we reviewed Joey's approach to our test puzzles, we saw he makes intuitive leaps that our scientists would never try. Joey moved closer to the puzzle. It glowed with blue light and had many moving parts that shifted and changed in patterns. It reminded him of his magnetic building set, but much more complex. Can I touch it? He asked. The aliens looked at each other. Admiral Zix Voon seemed worried. It is safe for humans to touch, but no one has made progress by physical manipulation alone. Joey reached out slowly. As his fingers touched the puzzle, the blue glow brightened. The parts began to move differently, responding to his touch in a way they hadn't for the aliens. It feels warm, Joey said. And it's like it wants to move in certain ways. The aliens were suddenly very interested. Grand Minister Teller leaned forward. You can feel directional resistance in the puzzle components? Joey nodded. Yeah, like when you try to push 2 magnets together, the wrong way. They push back. The aliens started talking excitedly among themselves. Joey continued to touch the puzzle, moving pieces slightly, feeling how they wanted to go. Dr. Green was translating for Joey's parents. They're amazed, she whispered. None of their scientists felt this feedback. They think it might be responding to something unique about human physiology or brain patterns. For the next several hours, Joey worked with the puzzle while scientists and aliens watched and took notes. He couldn't solve it right away, but he made more progress in 1 day than the council had made in months. As they walked back to their quarters that night, Joey's dad put his arm around him. You were amazing today, son. Joey smiled tiredly. The puzzle is like a conversation, Dad. I think that's what they're missing. They're trying to solve it like a math problem, but it's more like it's trying to tell them something. You have to listen to it. His mom and dad exchanged looks over his head. Their son was teaching some of the most advanced beings in the galaxy a new way to think. They weren't sure whether to be proud or terrified. Back in their quarters, Joey fell asleep quickly, dreaming of puzzles that spoke and stars that listened. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, a boy from Earth was changing how the galaxy approached problems, one puzzle piece at a time. Joey woke up the next morning and for a moment forgot where he was. Then he saw the stars outside his window and remembered. He was in space, working with aliens on a puzzle that no one in the galaxy could solve. He got dressed quickly and found his parents and Dr. Green waiting for him at breakfast. The food looked normal, cereal, toast, and orange juice, but it tasted a little different. The food is made by special machines, Dr. Green explained when she saw Joey's face. They copy Earth food, but they don't get it exactly right. Joey's dad looked tired. He hadn't slept well in the strange bed with the constant hum of the space station around them. What's the plan for today? He asked. The council wants Joey to work with the puzzle again, Dr. Green said. They were very excited about his progress yesterday. Joey's mom frowned. He's just a child. He needs breaks and time to play. Dr. Green nodded. I've told them that. We'll work for short periods with breaks in between. After breakfast, they went back to the meeting room. The aliens were already there, along with some human scientists who were taking notes and looking excited. Good morning, Joey Miller of Earth, said Grand Minister Teller. The crystal being seemed to shine even brighter today. We have been discussing your approach to the puzzle. Joey smiled shyly. Good morning. Admiral Zix Voon moved closer, his 7 arms moving in graceful patterns. You said yesterday that the puzzle speaks to you. Can you explain this? Joey thought for a moment. It's not really talking, but when I touch the pieces I can feel which way they want to move, like they're pushing or pulling my fingers. Ilara 9, the being made of light, floated near the puzzle. None of our scientists felt this. We wonder if it might respond to human bioelectrical fields. One of the human scientists, a woman with curly red hair, spoke up. We'd like to monitor Joey's brain activity while he works with the puzzle. If that's okay with you, she added, looking at Joey's parents. Joey's mom crossed her arms. What kind of monitoring? Will it hurt him? Not at all, the scientist assured her. Just a simple cap with sensors like an EEG, if you're familiar with that. Joey's parents agreed, and soon Joey was wearing a cap with wires connected to a computer. He sat down at the table and put his hands on the puzzle. The blue glow brightened immediately. Just do what feels natural, Joey, Dr. Green said. Joey closed his eyes for a moment. He felt the puzzle under his fingers, the way some pieces seemed to vibrate slightly, wanting to move. He began to adjust them, turning sections and sliding others. The puzzle responded, parts moving smoothly as if they had been waiting for him. On the computer screens, the scientists watched as Joey's brain lit up in unusual patterns. This is fascinating, the red-haired scientist whispered. Look at the activity in his right temporal lobe, and here, in the pattern recognition centers. For 2 hours, Joey worked with the puzzle. He made more progress, getting several sections to click into place with a soft humming sound that made the aliens exchange excited looks. Finally, Dr. Green called for a break. Joey's hands were tired and he had a slight headache from concentrating so hard. His parents took him back to their quarters for lunch and rest. While Joey was resting, the council members met with the scientists. The boy's brain activity is unlike anything I've seen, said the red-haired scientist, Dr. Alice Ward. He's using parts of his brain together that most people don't use at the same time. Is this common in human children? Asked Ilara 9. Dr. Ward shook her head. No. Joey has a rare form of neurodivergence. His brain processes patterns differently than most people. What might be considered a disability in some contexts is actually a gift here. Admiral Zix Voon looked at the data. In 6 cycles, our best minds made less progress than this human child has made in 2 days. It is humbling. Grand Minister Teller's crystal form shimmered with what might have been emotion. Perhaps this is what the creators of the puzzle intended. Not a test of advanced knowledge, but of diverse thinking. After lunch and a short nap, Joey returned to the meeting room feeling better. This time he brought his magnetic building set with him. "What is this device?" asked Admiral Zixavoon, looking curiously at the colorful magnetic pieces. "It's not a device. It's just toys," Joey explained. "Magnets that stick together. I use them to build things." He quickly assembled a structure that looked similar to part of the Nexus puzzle. The aliens watched with interest as Joey showed how the magnetic pieces could form different patterns and structures. "See, they want to connect in certain ways, because of the magnets," he explained. "The puzzle feels kind of like that." Joey went back to working on the puzzle. This time, he tried something new. Instead of just moving the pieces directly, he asked the aliens for materials to make a simple model. Using his magnetic toys and some other materials the aliens provided, he built a rough model of what he thought the solution might look like. "The puzzle feels like it should make this shape," he explained, showing his model to the group. "But it's like some pieces are turned the wrong way and blocking it." Dr. Green translated this for the aliens who hadn't learned English yet. They studied Joey's model with great interest. "This configuration implies a 5-dimensional structure," Ilara 9 said with surprise. "How did you conceive of this?" Joey shrugged. "It just feels right." The aliens helped Joey apply his model to the actual puzzle. When they adjusted the pieces according to Joey's design, several more sections clicked into place. The blue glow grew stronger, and new patterns appeared on the surface. "Remarkable," breathed Grand Minister Teller. "We would never have tried this approach." By the end of the day, the puzzle was about halfway solved. Joey was tired but happy. The aliens and scientists were amazed by his progress. That night, as Joey's mom tucked him into bed, she looked worried. "How are you feeling about all this, Joey?" Joey thought for a moment. "It's scary but also cool. The aliens are nice and the puzzle is fun. It's like the biggest, hardest game ever." His mom smiled and kissed his forehead. "I'm proud of you, but if it gets too much, just tell us, okay? We can go home anytime you want." Joey nodded sleepily. "I think I can solve it, Mom. I just need a little more time." As Joey drifted off to sleep, the station's sensors detected an incoming ship. A new delegation was arriving from the Galactic Council, drawn by reports of the human child's amazing progress with the Nexus puzzle. Among the new arrivals was a being known as the Keeper of Ancient Knowledge, one of the oldest minds in the galaxy. The Keeper had studied the extinct civilization that created the puzzle for centuries. Now, hearing of Joey's approach, the Keeper had come to witness something unprecedented, a new way of thinking that might finally unlock secrets hidden for millions of years. The morning light crept slowly across the small room, casting long shadows on the worn wooden floor. Emma stirred, her eyes opening to the unfamiliar surroundings. She remembered the events of the previous night, the long journey, the unexpected, help from a stranger, and the promise of a new beginning. She sat up carefully, taking in the simple room. A small window let in just enough light to reveal a space that was clean but clearly not her own. A worn chair sat in the corner and a simple table stood nearby with a small pitcher of water and a clean glass. Everything felt strange yet somehow comforting. Emma's mind raced with memories of her recent past. The decision to leave her hometown had not been an easy one. Months of careful planning, secret savings, and quiet preparation had led to this moment. She knew the risks were great, but the possibility of a better life was even greater. The stranger who had helped her, Thomas, he had said his name was, had been kind but cautious. He had provided her with a safe place to rest, some basic food, and words of careful advice. "Keep moving," he had told her. "Stay quiet. Trust no one completely." His words echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the delicate situation she was in. She checked her small bag of belongings. Everything was still there. A few changes of clothes, some important documents carefully wrapped in a waterproof cover, and the little money she had managed to save. Each item was precious. Each represented hope and survival. Outside, the world was slowly coming to life. She could hear distant sounds, birds chirping, a dog barking somewhere far away, the soft sounds of a town waking up. Emma knew she couldn't stay here long. Every moment of rest was also a moment of potential discovery. Thomas had given her directions to the next safe point in her journey. A small town about a day's travel from here, where she might find temporary work and a chance to gather more resources. The path would not be easy. She would need to be careful, watch her steps, and avoid drawing attention to herself. She thought about her family back home. They would be worried, maybe even angry. But they could never understand the choices she had to make, the dreams she needed to pursue. Freedom was worth more than safety, more than comfort, more than the familiar life she was leaving behind. Emma took a deep breath and began to prepare herself for the day ahead. She washed her face with the water from the pitcher, carefully braided her hair, and dressed in her most practical clothes. Every movement was deliberate, every action carefully considered. The sounds outside were growing louder. People would be moving about, starting their day, going to work, living their normal lives. She would need to blend in, to become invisible. Her survival depended on being unremarkable, on not standing out in any way. She checked the small map Thomas had drawn for her. The route was complicated, with several points where she would need to change her path, to avoid main roads, to stay hidden. It would be a challenging journey, but she was ready. She had prepared for this moment for months. As she packed her few belongings, Emma felt a mix of fear and excitement. The world was large and full of possibilities. Despite the risks, despite the uncertainty, she felt a strange sense of hope. This was her chance. This was her moment to change everything. The room was small and simple, but it had been a safe place. She took one last look around, making sure she hadn't left anything behind. Mistakes could be dangerous. Carelessness could cost her everything she had worked for. With a deep breath, she picked up her bag. Her hand was steady. Her mind was clear. The door opened quietly, and she stepped out into the morning light, ready to continue her journey. The Bow Street was quiet. A few people were moving about, but no one paid her any attention. This was exactly what she wanted. Invisible, safe, moving forward. Her journey was just beginning. The road stretched out before Emma like a thin ribbon of hope. Dust rose in small clouds with each careful step she took. The sun was high now, casting short shadows and bringing with it a wave of heat that made her wish for more water. She had been walking for hours. Her feet hurt, and her legs felt heavy. But Emma knew she could not stop. Rest was a luxury she could not afford. Every step was a step towards her future, away from the life she had left behind. In the distance, she could see a small cluster of buildings. It looked like a small farm or a tiny village. Emma hesitated. Thomas had warned her about being too open, too trusting. But she also knew she needed water and perhaps some food. Her supplies were getting low. As she approached, she noticed an old woman working in a small garden near a simple house. The woman looked up, her weathered face showing years of hard work and sun. For a moment, Emma thought about turning back. But her thirst was too strong. "Excuse me," Emma said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The old woman looked at her with sharp eyes that seemed to take in every detail of her appearance. "Water?" the old woman asked. It was more a statement than a question. She pointed to a water pump near the side of the house. Emma nodded, grateful for the small kindness. The water was cool and clean. Emma drank slowly, careful not to drink too much too quickly. She remembered the advice she had been given about taking care of herself during a long journey. A few small sips, then wait. Then, a few more. The old woman watched her. There was something in her eyes, not judgment, not pity, but something that looked like understanding. She disappeared into the house and came back with a small piece of bread and some dried fruit. "You look like you've been traveling far," the woman said. It was not a question that demanded an answer, just an observation. Emma nodded slightly. She knew she needed to be careful about sharing too much information. Every word could be a risk. The old woman seemed to understand this. She did not ask more questions. They sat in silence for a few minutes. The sound of birds and the distant sound of farm animals were the only noises. Emma ate the bread and fruit slowly, savoring each bite. It had been a long time since she had eaten something that tasted so good. As the sun began to move across the sky, the old woman spoke again. "There's a safe path," she said, pointing to a direction slightly different from the one Emma had been following. "It will be harder to see, but safer." Emma looked at her, surprised. The woman's eyes were kind but knowing. She had seen many things in her long life. She understood about journeys and about staying safe. The advice could be helpful, but Emma also knew she needed to be careful. Not everyone who offered help had good intentions. She would need to think carefully about the suggestion. After resting, for a short time, Emma prepared to continue her journey. The old woman gave her a small packet, more dried fruit, a little more bread. "Take care," she said simply. No other words were needed. As Emma walked away, she thought about the kindness she had just experienced. It was rare in a world that often seemed harsh and unforgiving. The old woman had asked for nothing in return. She had simply helped a traveler in need. The new path was harder to follow. It wound through small hills and patches of trees. Sometimes it was barely a path at all. But Emma was careful. She moved slowly, watching everything around her. Always alert. Always ready. Her mind wandered to the future. What would she find? Where would this journey take her? She had hope, but she also knew that hope alone was not enough. She would need to be smart. She would need to be strong. The afternoon wore on. The heat became less intense. Shadows began to grow longer. Emma knew she would need to find a safe place to rest soon. But not yet. Not until she was sure she was far enough away. Her bag felt heavy. Her body was tired. But her spirit was strong. Each step was a step towards something better. Each mile was a mile away from the life she had left behind. As the day began to turn, to evening, Emma saw a small sheltered area, some rocks that would provide some protection, some trees that would hide her from view. It would be a good place to rest for the night. She thought about Thomas, about the old woman, about all the people who had helped her in small ways. Strangers who understood what it meant to be on a journey. Strangers who knew about survival. The night was coming, but Emma was ready. Her journey continued.